Hi everyone, long time no see. I've been kind of gone for the past few weeks, and I'll share a little bit about kind of what's been going on when I start making this card. But I wanted to go ahead and bring back my card making videos and just all my videos in general. Like I said, I've been gone for a few weeks. I apologize, but I'm back in full swing and everything is going to go back to normal. So I figured for today's Make a Card Monday video, we would kick it off with this super cute, simple little birthday card. I love this card so much. It's so cute and simple and elegant, but it's beautiful at the same time. I got a couple little smudges on it. I don't know how I did that. But I'm sure you will be much better at not getting smudges. And actually, now that I look at this is kind of crooked too. I did not do a very good job on my sample card. But the one that I'm going to make now is going to be much better, I promise. So, I'm just going to move that little card off to the side. To jump into the materials we're going to need today, it's pretty basic. We're working with a very simple color palette. So your supplies are very minimal. You're going to need the mint macaron stamp pad. We're also going to need the basic black stamp pad. I'm going to be using this embossing folder. It's the honeycomb something. I'm not sure. It'll be on the screen what it's actually called, but it's honeycomb something or other, and we're going to be using that. We're also going to be using the Balloon Celebration and the Balloon Builder Punch. I think that's what this one's called. Both of these are from the Occasions catalog, and you can purchase them separately or you can purchase them as a bundle and save 15% on both items. So all of that information will be on the screen, and then it'll also be in the coordinating blog post below. So we're going to be using both of those. For our colors of cardstock today, we are going to be using a piece of mint macaron that is 8.5 by 5.5 for our card base. We're also going to be using just a scrap of the mint macaron. You can see that we're going to be using this to punch out our little balloons. So just a scrap. You only need a big enough piece to punch out a balloon. We're going to be using a piece of basic black cardstock, and this is cut at 4 by 5.25. And then we have a piece of just regular whisper white, and this is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Okay, so to start, we're going to be starting off with the balloon. And like I said, this card is super minimalistic, so you could really whip these out super fast. I love this card because of that. So we're using this stamp from the stamp set. And here, let me show you guys what the picture looks like so you can see. It's this one that looks kind of like confetti. So we're going to be using that. We're going to grab our mint macaron ink pad, and we're using the scratch piece of paper. And I'm just going to stamp it right there. So you want, with this punch, it's a little difficult to kind of maneuver around to begin with. So if you're punching the larger balloon, you want to stamp in the bottom left corner of your piece of paper. So you can move and flip it around to maximize the usage, but you want to stamp in the bottom left corner, and that's going to get you in the area that you can go ahead and punch out your balloon. Sorry, I want to make sure that this is even. Perfect. And then we're just going to punch this little guy out. I'm going to move that off to the side, and that's our little balloon. So we don't need the mint macaron stamp pad anymore. Now what we're going to do is move on to our white piece, and let me just grab that. So to do this, I like to take my white piece, and again, this is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and it's just regular whisper white. It's not the thick whisper white. I take my balloon, and I'm going to flip him upside down so that I have the side that does not have the ink on the top of it. And I'm just going to kind of position my balloon wherever I think it's going to look nice. I do it in the center, going left and right, and then pretty close to the top, about maybe a 1/2 inch, almost 3/4 of an inch from the top. It doesn't matter how you do it. There's no precision really to this. It's kind of one of those cards that you can do whatever you want. We're going to be using this Let Us Celebrate little guy for our sentiment, and he's also going to be the stem of our balloon. So the easiest way to do this is to flip your piece of Whisper White just like that. We're going to grab our basic black ink pad and ink up the stamp. Move that out of the way. And then I'm just going to, and I find that it's easiest if you stand up to do this. So we're just going to position it where it's going to look nice and pretty on our card and stamp down. And I didn't do that one very well. So the beauty is that there are two sides to every piece of paper. This one has a little bit of rough edges, but because we're using an embossing folder, it's probably not going to matter as much. So I'm just going to do the process all over again. Position my balloon, flip it, and make sure that I really press down when I stamp this. There, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to sit back down now. So the reason that we flipped our stamp upside down, and I'm going to talk and clean my stamps at the same time. So the reason that we did that is so you can see we were able to stamp and get a perfect line, but we didn't mess up our balloon. I can't speak. Okay, so we have that. Sorry, I was cleaning my stamps. So now we can take our little balloon and set him off to the side because we're not going to need him right now. We're going to bring in our big shot, and before you actually emboss this, one thing that I would recommend doing is taking your heat gun and just setting the ink really fast. I have found that when you use the embossing folder, even if you heat set it, sometimes it happens. I've had it happen to me a couple times where the ink stays on your embossing folder. It happened a couple times when I was making my samples for this. You can kind of see it. And if you don't pay attention to that, it could get on your project. I have had that happen. I actually had that happen with my sample, and that's probably where some of these little splotches came from. But most of them were under where the balloon was going, so it's not a big deal. But if you heat set it, and then if you end up getting anything, if you just take a baby wipe and really rub it away, that should help, and it shouldn't cause any other issues. So this is the embossing folder that we're going to be using. Now, I consider the front of the embossing folder where we have the Stampin' Up! And the Sizzix logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the embossing folder in my hand with the front facing up, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm then going to take my piece that I'm going to emboss, and I'm going to flip it upside down. It looks kind of crazy, but this is our front, so I'm going to flip it upside down. We stamped on the other side, so it's a little confusing. But you want the stamp where you stamped and what's going to be the front of your card to show through on the back of the embossing folder. And that's just because this embossing folder kind of has two sides to it, and I'll show you more about that once we emboss it. Then the other thing to keep in mind with this is, see how there's lines of these honeycombs, and in the honeycombs there's big open spaces. You really want your sentiment to be in those big open spaces. Now, I don't want mine centered because I like the kind of whimsical, not 100% perfect look. So I'm not going to have mine right in the center, and you want to make sure that your entire piece of paper is getting embossed, so you don't want the piece of paper to go outside the embossing folder. But those are the two things to keep in mind. You want the front of your card where your stamping is to be on the back of the embossing folder, and you want your sentiment to be in the middle of the honeycombs where all the open space is, just like this. So now I'm going to bring in my big shot. And I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but I'm just going to sandwich this in here. Whoops, there we go. And run it through. And I gotta slide this up a little bit so I don't hit my tripod. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way now. You just run it through once, and I don't think I think that one worked pretty well. I don't see any ink on it. I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just wipe it anyways, just to make sure. And then I'm just going to set that off to the side. So what I was saying about deciding which side to put it on, if you can, I'm not sure how you guys are going to really be able to see this, but on the side that we used, it's flatter because all of the raised parts are on the other side. So you can see this side has more raised pieces to it. I'm not sure again how well you're going to be able to see that. And this side is definitely more flat. So I like the flat side. I think it looks better. It has a nice cleaner and crisper image, but you can decide to do whichever side you want. If you like the look of this and you like all of the texture, use that side. The main thing about this, because I tried this 3 or 4 times before I made my final product, the main thing is that you really have to stamp before you emboss. Because there's so many ridges, there's no way you're ever going to be able to stamp in between those little areas. You're just not going to be able to do it. You really have to stamp the piece before you emboss it. And that's really the key to this one. So that's the trick to getting it done. And now the rest of the card is super simple. So I'm going to grab my piece of black cardstock, and I'm just going to adhere this with my normal Tombow Mono permanent adhesive because it's embossed, and we're using we're sticking it down with the raised side. I want to make sure I add lots and lots of adhesive. And while I'm doing this, I also wanted to acknowledge, I know I've been away for a little bit, guys, and I appreciate all of you that have stuck around and hung out while I've been away for a little bit. We just hit the 6-month mark until we're getting married, and things have just kind of gotten crazy. It's just, I got a lot of stuff done early when we first got engaged, so it was pretty simple for a while, but now that it's getting closer and we need to start making other decisions, things have just gotten out of control. Like, I've been spending all of my time doing, here, I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what I've really been doing. Let me just cover up the address. I made these heart labels for all of our save the dates, and then we ordered these stamps, obviously, and then I made our return address labels. So I've been doing all of that, and it's so time consuming. We are expecting to have like between 350 and like 380 guests probably. So getting everything addressed and sent out and all that kind of stuff, it's just been crazy. So that's where I've been. I apologize, but I am going to make a conscious effort to post on my normal schedule. It probably won't be, I know I did a blog post kind of laying out what I'm going to do each day. I don't know if I'm going to be following that 100%, but I do plan on still posting 5 days a week, and at least 3 of those posts having videos, and not just blog posts. So anyways, I'm rambling now. Let's just finish up this card. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and acknowledge that I have been gone for a little bit. So anyways, like I was showing, I adhered this piece down onto our black piece. I didn't line it up perfectly, but it's good enough for me. We're going to take our little balloon, and actually, you know what? We're going to put this down on our card base first, because last one I didn't have trouble, but it's easier to adhere stuff down before you use dimensionals. It's easier to adhere stuff down before you have dimensionals on it, so I want to put everything on my bone folder. I want to put everything together first and then add the balloon and the dimensional items. So yeah, that's really where I've been, guys. I'm sorry. I know it's been kind of crazy for me, at least. If any of you have ever planned a wedding, which I'm sure some of you have, if you've ever planned a wedding or been a part of a wedding even, oh, I have a little doggy trying to jump up on a bed that's having a hard time. You okay, buddy? He really wants up on that bed. Okay, so now that we have everything together, I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to go ahead and take my balloon. Sorry, I didn't finish that statement. I don't think I did. What I was going to say is, if you've ever been a part of helping plan a wedding, or if you are married and you planned your own wedding and you had a large wedding, it's crazy. There's so many different little things that I just didn't even think about. So Anyways, I'm trying not to focus on that, and I'm going to get back into card making because it really calms me. It's really therapeutic for me, and it's something that I really needed that I just haven't had the time to do. So anyways, I'm rambling. This is supposed to be a super, super short, easy card, but it's not turning out that way because I keep rambling. I'm going to put my balloon down, and I'm going to kind of make this one a little wonky, if that's the best way to say it, just because I kind of like that look. The last thing that I forgot to mention is to take some baker's twine, and this is baker's twine that I got at Target. Stampin' Up! Sells baker's twine, and I will link that. I'll put that information, and I'm going to cut this crazy edge off. I'll put that information on the screen, and then I'll also link the Stampin' Up! Baker's twine in my coordinating blog post. This is just what I had. It's been such a long time since they had this at the Target's dollar spot, but they have, it's 15 yards of baker's twine. There's 3 different colors on each little thing for $1. So I picked those up in a jiffy. Don't you even worry about it. But anyways, I just cut a little piece off. This is probably too big of a piece, but I'm just going to use it. It's easier to use a piece that's too big than to use one that's too small. And I'm just going to tie a little bow. Really have to concentrate on this. Did I get it? Oh, I did. Yeah, go me. Okay, so then we're just going to make the loops a little smaller and fix. This one's a little twisted. Pull that guy. And I don't know why I put my scissors away because I need to chop off these little tails. And that is it. If you were concerned about the bow coming off or coming undone, you could put a little dab of glue either right under on the balloon before you did it, or you could even just put a little bit of a dab of glue in there, but I'm not concerned about it coming off. I think it'll be perfectly fine. So that is our super easy birthday card for today. I hope you guys enjoy, and be on the lookout the rest of the week for some more cards to come. I've planned out this week, and there will be plenty of cards this week. Let me see. On Wednesday, I will be showing you a card set, a super easy card set to make that I love to give to my family and friends as like a birthday gift, or like just kind of like an I'm thinking about you gift, so that they have cards that they can send to people. But anyways, that'll be on Wednesday. I'm super excited about that video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye!